Hey there, welcome. I'm Jodi Aiken. You may be wondering what this is all about. Well, that's a really good question. This is the thing. I have had a podcast called Pennies in Your Path for a couple of years now, and it's been very comfortable for me to hide behind this microphone and just edit my words and do those things and tweak myself in private. But recently, I've been challenged by a sweet friend of mine to create a vlog with that podcast to make it a companion. So here I am in my awkwardness, my weirdness, my uncomfortableness. I don't know. But anyway, I'm up for the challenge, and I really hope that this will bless you in some way by bringing my message that the Lord lays on my heart through this kind of platform. So my hope and goal is that I'll continue this and that you would subscribe. And so you would have an automatic notification when I do a new episode. Right now, I'm really producing or publishing, if you will, these once a month because I'm showing up weekly over at the Hope Filled Conversations podcast with my dear friend, Carolyn Reese. So I would love for you to go check that out as well. But I thought before we go into today's episode about I don't like the way that I act sometimes, basically, in going into those details of a recent journey that I had. I just wanted to pop in and say, hey, welcome, explain what this is about and what's going on. And again, welcome, and I hope this gets less awkward. I'm not sure how many episodes that'll take, so I'm asking for a little grace, friend. Have a blessed day. Oh, and by the way, I would love for you to check out my website. It's at jodiaiken.com. Hey friends, welcome back to Pennies in Your Path podcast. I have a couple of updates I want to share with you. You know, the previous episode I talked about how I was pre-recording because I was getting ready to go out to Texas actually to take care of my grandson, to help out there for a couple of weeks. And the fact that my older son was returning home from a 9-month deployment. Well, I just want to give you an update and let you know that was fantastic. It was a blessing to take care of my grandson and a challenge. I'm reminded when I was falling into bed a couple nights, I thought to myself, oh Lord, how did Sarah and Abraham take care of a little one? And then I thought, wait, they had a village to help them probably raise the little one. That's what I thought about. But man, I wouldn't trade that time with him for anything. It was just very special. And to end my week out there with them, I had the opportunity to greet our oldest son back from deployment, from being gone for 9 months. And there's nothing like a fresh hug from your son when you've been away for a little while. So that was a special moment as well. And I just got to say, I'm a blessed woman. I am so grateful for how God has allowed me the opportunity to be there those couple of weeks that I was. So I just wanted to give you an update on that and how that went. So also, I do want, one of the things I did want to share with you that I thought when it happened, I thought, oh boy, I know my listeners, my friends, will want to know about a penny story that God placed in my path while I was there. So the first night that our son had returned home, we all went out to eat. We just walked downtown is what we did. And as we decided to sit outside, it was just beautiful, good weather and what have you. And so we went to a restaurant. And as we're sitting there, I'm looking at my daughter-in-law and my son and their son and thinking, again, how blessed I am to be there. And I thought, man, that's got to be a challenge to reintegrate your family back together after being apart for so long. And I just started thinking within myself and kind of praying as well of some challenges that they may have. And I know at some point I had looked down past them to the ground and I saw a circle. but it looked like the color of the pavement. I thought, that's probably not a penny. But nonetheless, it prompted me to really just start pouring my heart out within to God about them and this transition that they're going to be going through. And just moments later, I just kind of put my head over to the other side and I glanced down on the ground, and there was definitely a penny. So there was, to give you the fuller picture, there was 2 picnic tables behind them where they were sitting. And so when I recognized that was a penny for sure, I got up slowly from the table and I walked over. Fortunately, nobody was sitting at either one of those picnic tables. I just want to put that there. Though I may have still gotten it if somebody was sitting there. I'm just crazy about my pennies like that. So watch out if you see me coming toward you and I'm bending down to the ground to get a penny. But anyway, I digress. I got up, and at the end of the picnic table to the left, I had bent down and gotten that penny and just rejoicing. And I thought, I'm just going to walk over to the other picnic table at the end of that one and see if that was a penny. And do you know, it was. So how beautiful it was for God to give me 2 pennies. And it was behind my daughter-in-law and one behind my son where he had been sitting right there. And I thought, they're going to be okay, aren't they, Lord? I'm giving them over to you. I'm not going to be concerned because you've got them. You've got their marriage. They love you, and they're going to seek you in all that they do. And I wanted to share that. I wanted to share that with you guys from just kind of some fruit, I think, of my prayer time that I'd been having over these 9 months to a year for them, and to be able to end my time there with confidence, knowing that God's got them, God's got their family, and that I would just stay faithful in lifting them up to the Lord when He prompts me to, and be released from that concern, if you will, or that burden, or thinking about how all of that was going to work out for them. And it was just really cool. And I hope that story blesses you. So to get into the message I'm wanting to share with you today, it kind of begins at the end of my time with them. So the following morning, after receiving him back home from where he was, they put me on a plane. They took me to the airport and put me on a plane to send me back to North Carolina to my home. And I don't know if I should say the airline or not. I'm just going to leave that ambiguous. But it's an airline where I'm able to choose my seat. And when I had gotten on the plane, I was in front of the line, and I got the end seat that I really felt comfortable sitting at. And I was like, yes, this is going to be great. It's about a 2.5 hour flight. This is going to be really comfortable and cozy sitting there. But there was an empty seat next to me, and someone else actually sitting next to the window. So where everybody is on the plane, and they're closing the door, but there's one lady that he keeps going up and down the aisle, and there was a stewardess helping her find a seat, and she decided to sit beside me right where the empty seat was, welcomed her there, and I said, hey, I noticed that you've been up and down these aisles quite a bit. I'm sure you feel good that you finally get settled. And she responded with, yeah, I'm flying with my sister, and she's super nervous, and I was trying to find a way to be able to sit with her. And I thought, oh, God, are you going to ask me to move out of my comfy seat? And I would love to be able to say to you that I instantly went, oh, where's she at? Let me trade seats with her. But no, I paused for a moment, and I had to do a little self-evaluation check within my spirit, because I thought sometimes we just want to sit beside someone that we're, a family member or a friend because it's fun. And I really wanted to know that if I'm going to give up my seat, it's for a really good reason, not just because, So I followed up with another question. And I said, does your sister really struggle with anxiety with flying? And she said, this was it. She said, yes, she does. She has severe anxiety. This is her first time flying. And she was the woman telling me this. She said, I was actually supposed to be flying to go meet my boyfriend, but that didn't work out. So I rearranged everything so I can be on the flight with my sister to give her the comfort that she needed. And here we're not able to sit next to each other. And I took a deep breath and I said, well, if you'll show me where she's at, I would be more than happy to exchange seats with her. And she said, really? She said, you're an angel. And I said, no, I don't know about that. Because I knew what I was struggling with. And so the stewardess walked by me and I said, if it's okay with you, I'd love to exchange seats with this passenger's sister so they can sit next to one another. And she said, absolutely. So we walked down there where her sister is. And I'm willing to sit in the middle of the seat back toward the end of the plane where she's at. And I'm like, well, whatever. I've surrendered this. I'm good. I'm at peace. But the stewardess wants to treat me for my effort, my blessing, being nice, being a kind person. And I'm like, and she says, how about I'll take you up to the first couple seats at the front of the plane? I was like, oh, well, sure, that'll be great, right? Who wouldn't want the comfy up there? And so I follow her, and there was an empty seat in between two women. And you can tell they had gotten really comfortable where they were. They spread their things out a little bit. And the stewardess nicely, very kindly asked the woman, she said, I've got a passenger that needs this seat, and she is going to need the space underneath the seat in front of her. I had a backpack with me. And the lady, oh my word, you would have thought that you asked her to give you her diamond ring or something. I mean, it was like this most valuable, precious thing that she was having to give up. So the lady just started ranting and raving about how it's just unfortunate when you sit on the end that the space in front of you is just so small, and I'm going to have to give up my food, and I don't understand why I have to do this. I mean, she was loud, she was a little unhinged, and the stewardess like, I'm sorry, I understand, but then there was someone behind her, someone else of authority, had said to her, I'm sorry that you're uncomfortable and that we are pretty much full on this flight. However, if you would like for me to escort you off the plane, I would be happy to get you another flight that has less people on it. And the lady immediately was like, well, no, I'm fine. And then she gathered all of her stuff up and was handing it an extra bag to the stewardess to put up above. And when all that was settled, the stewardess just kind of walked up to me and she turned me around and she says, let's walk back a little bit. I really don't want you to have to sit there, if that's okay with you. And I'm like, okay, sure. I'm here for the ride. I just want to get home at this point. I was trying to do something nice, but I don't say anything, right? And so the stewardess finds me another seat, and I'm buckled in, and I'm like, okay, relax, we're good, all is well. The ultimate goal was for the sister to find a comfortable spot with her sister. So I'm sitting there, and then later the stewardess brings a piece of paper to me, and it actually is a bank deposit slip, and the name is scratched off of it and the account number, and the front of it says, to the kind lady. And then on the back, dear fellow human, I want to apologize for my terrible behavior. You didn't deserve my rude attitude. I don't like to act that way. I wish you a better day, and I hope that my behavior didn't ruin your day. From the rude lady. And I thought, oh my, what that must have taken for her to apologize, to recognize how ugly and rude that she was. And I thought to myself too, she probably embarrassed herself in that situation. Because like I said, the door was closed, we were all settled, and all eyes were on us, and people were listening to what was going on. And I've thought over and over about what she wrote. I don't like to act this way. And I thought, man, how many times I've said that to myself, where I've come unglued, unhinged, and I'm like, oh my goodness, it's like this outer body experience is like, who are you? That's not your nature. That's not how you typically operate. And I thought about you guys, and I thought, have you ever been in a situation where, you know what, you got a good attitude, you're having a good day, everything's going well, you're comfortable, you're where you want to be, and then all of a sudden there's a trigger. There's something that causes you to come undone, and afterwards you wished you'd never done that or said that. I mean, come on, be honest with yourself. Maybe you've given somebody the cold shoulder. Or maybe you've said some things that could have been said nicer and with more tact, instead of just letting it all out there and then thinking that you have the right to say what you want to say. So it brought me to a scripture I want to share with you, and it's from the New Living Translation, from Proverbs. You know there's got to be a proverb in this. Proverbs 4:23 through 27. It says, guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. Avoid all perverse talk. Sorry about that. I was like, couldn't read my own handwriting there. Avoid all perverse talk. Stay away from corrupt speech. Look straight ahead and fix your eyes on what lies before you. Mark out a straight path for your feet. Stay on the safe path. The NIV puts that verse this way. Give careful thought to the paths for your feet. And then it ends with, don't get sidetracked. Keep your feet from following evil. And I thought, this is a really good verse for what this experience was like. It's a reminder to keep yourself intentional from speaking in a perverse way. Also in Proverbs 21:2, it says, every person's way is right in his own eyes, but the Lord examines the heart. And I'm sure at the moment that this woman was becoming unhinged, she felt that her space was rightfully her space, and she paid for the ticket, and she's in the seat that she's supposed to be in. But at the end of the day, her attitude that came forth when she was asked to make a change that she was not expecting, because she got comfortable. And before I could say anything negative about her, I had thought to myself, you know what? That's God's battle. That's God to take care of the situation that she's got in her heart. It's not for me to judge. It's not for me to condemn. It's not for me to say anything ugly. I thought of some of the verses in the Beatitudes in Luke chapter 6. I want to read to you the verse 45 before I read the verses before it. It says, the good person out of the good treasure of his heart brings forth what is good, and the evil person out of the evil treasure brings forth what is evil. For his mouth speaks from that which fills his heart. So in other words, what we're putting in our heart, if we're not staying close and clean before the Lord, whatever ugliness is in there, whatever evil, whatever negativity, so to speak, we can try to guard our mouths, but inevitably, if we're triggered just right and we where that one little spark goes off, whatever is hidden in there that is not of God, that's not good, chances are it might come out. And to get back to verse 41 in Luke chapter 6 is one of the reasons why I paused before I said anything to the stewardess or anything else. It says, "Why do you look at the speck that is in your brother's eye, but do not notice the log that is in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, 'Brother, let me take out the speck that is in your eye,' when you yourself do not see the log that is in your own eye? You hypocrite! First take the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take out the speck that is in your brother's eye. For there is no good tree that bears bad fruit, nor, on the other hand, a bad tree that bears good fruit. For each tree is known by its own fruit. For people do not gather figs from thorns, nor do they pick grapes from a briar bush." Is that not strong right there? So, in other words, for me, I had no right to go, "Oh my goodness, she's rude. Oh my goodness, I don't want to sit by her." I mean, I could have said a lot of ugly things, not just back to her, but to the stewardess, to the person I ended up sitting with when I got the note. I could have and felt justified in defending myself. Here I'm just trying to do a good thing. But the reality is, I know my own heart, and I know sometimes I have a bad day, and I know sometimes I get triggered even when I feel like I'm having, I've got the right attitude, but I get triggered and I get snarky, and I just say something off the cuff that might be hurtful to someone and not really mean to. And I do remember standing there looking at this woman as she was frustrated, and I did think in myself, I thought, bless her heart, not the southern kind of bless her heart. It was bless her heart. She's really struggling right now. There's a lot probably going on in her life, and I'm not seeing good fruit. I'm not sure that she knows the Lord. And I could have sent her a note back. I could have sent her a note back saying, "That's okay." But the thing is it wasn't okay. It wasn't okay. It's not okay when we burst out like that. It's not okay that we get something off of our chest and then apologize for it. It's not okay. But what I did tell the stewardess, instead of writing the lady a note or anything like that, because the stewardess was apologizing and she was saying the lady just feels really bad. And I said to her, I'm okay. Thank you. Thank you for caring. I'm okay. And so it's as if the stewardess really wanted me to say something totally different, probably defending myself. And I didn't. I say that because she asked me like 4 or 5 times, or mentioned to me 4 or 5 times, that the lady was sorry, and she was asking me if I was good, but I was consistent. And I thought, if anything, by the fruit that I was able to display with my calmness, my kindness, my gentleness, my self-control. I'm saying it took some self-control. I'm not going to lie. It took some self-control of just being at peace with what God was doing in the midst around me, and not reacting, but instead acting as Christ would have me act. So in a sense, I was serving the Lord with my attitude, and I was serving the Lord by giving up my seat to bring comfort to 2 sisters. Because it wasn't about me. It wasn't about my comfort, though it was in the beginning. But God just stripped that away from me for me to be pliable, to be usable, to be a servant for Him, and to recognize, you know what? We all can, that could have been me. I could have been having a bad day and letting that out. But I will say one thing that I feel confident about that gave me the ability to not speak back in a negative way is that I knew that morning before I started that before I even got out of bed, I'd spent time with God. And I put my armor on and I talked with Him. So before my feet hit the ground, I'd already had been spending time with the Father. And so my day started off with Him, and I ensured that throughout the rest of my day, even up to that moment, I'd been praying without ceasing. I invited God in with every detail that was going on, because that morning before I got on the plane, I had the privilege of being there with my son and daughter-in-law and my grandson as they took him to get his very first haircut. My grandson, not my son's, to get his first haircut because he had these beautiful long curls, but the hair, the bangs were getting in his eyes. So he really needed a haircut. But what a precious opportunity I was able to spend to be at that moment, and then to have lunch with them and to get on the plane. So knowing that I was about to say see you later to all three of them and start on this journey of this traveling, I knew I wasn't guaranteed tomorrow. I knew I wasn't guaranteed anything. So what I was guaranteed was the moments that I had, that I could seek God in every part of my journey and invite Him in as I went. And so when all that took place, that moment that I was paused before I released my spot to this lady's sister, I feel like there was a little bit of a test. It was like, are you willing, Jodi, first of all, to give up your comfort, to be a servant for me, and to be Christ-like to someone else? Even though I might not have shared the gospel with them, I was God's hands and feet. I was a light with my attitude and my actions. So I'm accountable for that. And then the next thing was, how was I going to respond being taken up and down the plane when I was perfectly okay? I was just minding my own business, and then all of a sudden I'm the woman that's going up and down the aisle looking for the seat. It's like I exchanged positions with the one that I gave up, and how was I going to respond in the front of everybody that was looking and listening? And first and foremost, I think I honored God in my actions. So the challenge is for you and I is, what are we putting in our heart to ensure that our hearts are guarded for moments like that? Are we spending time in God's Word? Are we hiding His Word in our heart? Are we staying close and clean? In other words, are we going before the Lord on a consistent basis and saying, Lord, search me and know me, reveal any wicked way in me that I may repent, because I don't want anything to hinder us. And then, God, you take the rest of this day. I'm your hands and feet with that, whatever you wish or whatever you desire. And then leaning on Him for what comes your way throughout the day. So maybe you've said, when you started hearing about this story about, how did she put it? The rude lady. Have you been the rude lady? Have you been the rude man? Have you offended someone and walked away? Were you not able to write a note like she was to apologize, and perhaps you recall and you were like, oh, I wish I could take that back. I wish I could have changed that. And it still bothers you? Well, it's actually not too late. You can take it before the Lord and ask Him to forgive you, and ask Him to help you have better fruit, and pray for the one that you may have offended, and ask God to help you in the future to bear good fruit. But it's up to you to make sure you're planted in the right source, in God's Word, in prayer, in His presence, on recognizing that on a daily basis. And I will tell you from experience, because I have done that. I remember back when I was in my early 20s where I was working somewhere, and I did not treat a coworker so kindly. And I have thought about that over and over in the years. It bothered me. I really wanted to go back and apologize and say, I'm not that same person that I used to be, and I'm embarrassed, and I'm so sorry for hurting you and hurting your feelings and saying the things and acting the way that I did. I mean, if I could really take back some of those times, I would. But I can't. But I can take it to the Father who can, because He is able. He's able to redeem. And I've prayed for her, and God released me from that burden. He's released me from that shame. And it is a lesson that I carry on and I've learned and used and refer back to the moments that old self might want to rear its head and go, why don't you tell him off? Why don't you say what you want to say? And I go, oh, no. I'm not going to go down that path, because I'm going to keep my eyes fixed on the Father, and I'm going to be on the path that He has set before me, because it's always the right path. It's always the good path. So, that's what I got for you today. And I pray it's been a blessing to you. I hope you have been challenged by this. I know I'm going to keep this note in a safe keep box and remind myself to take the speck out of my eye before I ever judge anybody, and to give them grace as grace has been given to me. Now, if this has been a blessing to you, I would really appreciate it if you would share it with a friend, either through email, if you're getting this email, or your favorite podcast app that you've got. Make sure you subscribe so you can get updates. I'm still just publishing these once a month right now. Hopefully in the future I'll get back to doing it maybe two or three times a month. But in the meantime, if you want to go over and visit Hope-Filled Conversations, where I'm showing up weekly with my co-host Carolyn Reese. We'd love to have you join us and listen in to what God is teaching us as we share with you, and hopefully that would bless you as well. Also, I would be honored if you would take a moment on your Apple Podcasts and leave a review. I'm learning it really does make a difference to help this podcast be able to be seen when people are searching for it. So that would bless me so much if you would do that. And if there's anything, friend, that I can ever pray with you about, feel free to give me an email. You can shoot an email at email@jodiaiken.com. And also, I invite you to visit my website at jodiaiken.com. How difficult is that? Not very, right? Anyway, thank you for taking time to join me on this journey today. And I appreciate you so much for choosing to take a few moments to listen in. I pray you have a blessed day, friends.